is Brian. This is the epilogue, and it's called Brian 2 Points plus 1 Big Point. It's a sunny June day. I look at the clock. Summer vacation starts in exactly 1 hour. I open my journal to write my last entry as a 6th grader, but I'm so excited about vacation starting that I can't think of anything to write about. As if he's read my mind again, Mr. Bingham says, "Listen up, class. If you're so excited about vacation starting that you can't think of anything to write in your journal, why don't you write about your hopes and plans for the summer?" I pick up my pen and begin. My plan for this summer is to make and sell birdhouses with my grandfather. I hope we'll sell lots of them. We're going to study different birds and learn about the kinds of shelters that they like. On weekends, we're going to the farms in different towns around here to sell them. We'll explain to our customers how to set them up so the birds they want to attract that's the ones they'll get. Grandpa says we'll probably learn about birds from our customers because lots of people love birds. Another thing I'm going to do this summer is to be tutored. Miss Samuels is going to come to my house once a week to work with me. She's going to bring her computer. I'm going to be sure Grandpa Al is at our house sometimes when I have my tutoring. Miss Samuels is a widow. She isn't a rich widow, but she's a really nice one. I bet Grandpa Al will like her. Miss Samuels likes me. She's bound to like him. I read over what I've written and think about dyslexia. I know it's never going to go away, but it's not going to get worse either, and I'm going to get better and better at thinking things that I'm good at, like understanding birds, how things work, and having different creative ideas. I'm saving up to buy my own computer. In my journal, I write the date and how much I've saved so far, $128. This is how I've saved so much money. I put away $2 each week, and my mother matches it with $2 contribution. I decide that each time I sell a birdhouse, I write my share of the profits on this page and put the money away from my computer. I close my journal and look around the room. A lot of other kids have stopped writing too. Everyone's waiting for vacation to begin, but not Isabel. She's writing a mile a minute. She still gets on my nerves sometimes, which is a lot better than all the time. In a way, we're kind of friends. Charlene, George, Dan, and I taught her how to play basketball. She's tall and fast. She stopped talking about boxing lessons, but I'll bet you anything she's still lifting those weights. I watched John. He's leaning back, balanced on the back legs of his chair, staring at the ceiling. He never writes in his journal. He doesn't make jokes anymore either. A lot of days this year, John didn't even come to school. Richie was in school more than John, but he still didn't do much work. The Colgate mansion got sold to a drug rehabilitation center that's doing a big renovation. I don't know where John and Richie and their friends will hang out this summer, and I don't really care. Dan says I'm the most popular boy in our class now, but I think he is. I can see him writing in his journal now, or maybe he's drawing a new monster. When Dan started to wear glasses last month, John made a joke about it. Richie was the only one in our class that laughed. Mr. Bingham stands up and announces, "Journal period is over and our year together is almost complete." "About time," John mumbles. If Mr. Bingham heard him, he just pretended he didn't. But he certainly can hear him when John asks, "Can I be excused?" "All right, John," Mr. Bingham answers. He holds out the big wooden boys' room pass, but John walks right by and opens the door. "So long, suckers," he shouts over his shoulder. With the slam of the door, he's gone for the year. I can tell Mr. Bingham is disappointed that John never trusted him and that he couldn't help him with schoolwork. Mr. Bingham shakes his head and says mostly to himself, "Now why did we have to end the year like that?" "Because he had to go, I call out. Everyone in the room laughs, including Mr. Bingham. Isabel and Dan scratch their heads. Richie calls out, "Come on, Mr. Bingham, let us all go. There's only 10 more minutes left. The 8th grade's already out." "Richie," he says, "stay right where you are. A few more minutes won't kill you. I have a present for you." Mr. Bingham opens up his desk drawer and takes out a pile of printed pamphlets. Everyone's craning their necks and whispering, trying to figure out what it is. "It'll probably be a list of books we should read over the summer," Jenny says. "I bet it's one of those things about not becoming a drug addict," Jason tells Isabel. Isabel snickers. "You're wrong, Jason. I wonder how come she knows what it is." Mr. Bingham ends the suspense by telling us, "Isabel and I put together the poems that you wrote about your animal life projects. Come up here, Isabel, help pass them out." Isabel strides up to the front of the room in her proud, tall way. Mr. Bingham hands her half the pamphlets, and they each take a side of the room to start handing them out. Dan is one of the first to get his. He whistles between his teeth. "This looks great," he says. "You got it printed and everything." "We printed it ourselves," Isabel tells him, "with the school's desktop publishing program. I know how to do it now." Mr. Bingham puts a pamphlet on my desk and pats me on the shoulder. "You had a good year, Brian," he says. "I'm proud of you." I look down at the pamphlet, an ink drawing of a Canada goose, its wings outstretched, soars across the stiff blue cover. It's a drawing that I did for art class. Dan's right, it does look great. Across the top I read, "Poems of Nature" by the 6th grade class, Sharon Center School. In the sky part, underneath the goose, all of our names are printed in alphabetical order. Everyone is flipping through the book to find their own poems. I find mine on page 10, Canada Goose by Brian Toomey. "Shall we read some of them out loud?" Mr. Bingham asks. Isabel calls out, "You do it, Mr. Bingham." Everyone agrees. We know now that before Mr. Bingham was a teacher, he wasn't a criminal or a boxer. He was an actor. He still is. After we found that out, we were always begging him to take the parts where we studied plays and literature. One day, for fun, he took all the parts in the play, Our Town. If you closed your eyes, you'd think you were there, where a whole bunch of people reading the roles instead of our one 6th grade teacher. "Ready?" he says. We quiet down. He opens our book of poetry and begins. Some of the poems rhyme in a sing-songy way, but when Mr. Bingham says them, they sound so good. I think Dan's poem, "Raymond Comes to Dinner," is the best. It's a story about a raccoon named Raymond who steals food from garbage cans. He has to be clever to outwit the neighbors who are trying to keep him from getting their garbage all over. In desperation, one guy keeps his garbage cans in his house. One night, as Raymond works his way from garbage can to garbage can, he's shocked to find nothing edible in any of them. Lucky for him, in the next stanza, he figures out what's happened to the garbage. The people on the street are putting their table scraps on compost heaps in their backyards. This is great for Raymond because he doesn't even have to figure out where the garbage cans are hidden or how to break into them. Each night he cruises the neighborhood backyards, going from compost heap to compost heap. The last stanza of the poem says, "First course in the Smith's backyard, dinner at the Bates. The Jones haven't finished yet, dessert will have to wait." Mr. Bingham says Dan's poem is a Peter Rabbit for the 90s. When Mr. Bingham gets to my poem, he makes it sound so good I can hardly believe I wrote it. He recites it in his deepest, most serious actor's voice. It's like he knows it by heart. "Fly, goose, fly free, so I can hear the strength in your call. Fly, goose, fly free, so I can see the power of your wings. I cannot lean my body into wind and move free through the blue skies like you. But oh, great Canada goose, I can fly on, wings of thought soaring within my mind space. There I can be free and strong." The bell rings and the school year is over.